Some call us Force Wielders. We can take many forms. The shapes we embody are merely a reflection of the life force around us.
Some of the most powerful Force Wielders were not actually Jedi or Sith, but they were more embodiments of the Force. Often called the Ones or the Mortis Gods, these consisted of the son, who aligned himself more with the dark side, or heavily with the dark side. We had the daughter that aligned herself with the light side, and then we had the father that was the balance between them. In Season 3 of the Clone Wars, we learned about these gods when Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan were mysteriously pulled into a sort of pocket dimension, which was the world of Mortis. The father, being ancient, knows that his time is coming to an end and therefore attempts to recruit Anakin Skywalker to take his place, as he believes Anakin is the only one that has enough light and dark side abilities to control both of his children. This is then proven by a test conducted by the father, where he puts Ahsoka and Obi-Wan on opposite sides and forces Anakin to stop both the light and the dark side to prevent either's death. The father knows that his son is sinking deeper and deeper into the dark side of the Force, and it's getting more and more difficult to control him. He warns Anakin that the consequences of not having someone to keep the son in check could be disastrous. After Anakin passes the test, he still refuses to take the place of the father and goes to leave the planet with Ahsoka and Obi-Wan. Unknowingly to the father, however, the son plots to overthrow him and reaches out to Anakin through a Force stream, asking him to join the dark side and to bring peace and order to the galaxy. It's important to note that these are really just avatars of the Force and can appear to look however they choose, so the son ends up taking whatever form would be most beneficial or impactful to the person he's trying to manipulate. When Anakin refuses, the son kidnaps Ahsoka, forcing Anakin to return to the planet. The son goes back to the temple where the father expresses his concerns to the son about his behavior, but the son is really too far gone at this point and actually force lightnings the father and then runs off. The daughter rushes in to help her father, and Obi-Wan says they need to stop the son, but the daughter insists that the actions of the son are just in his nature, and she will not act against him for doing basically what he does. She does end up showing Obi-Wan to an altar of Mortis, where a blade made completely out of the Force resides and is intended to kill the father. They make it to the son's tower, where Ahsoka has been entirely turned to the dark side by the son, and she's able to get the dagger from Obi-Wan and give it to the son. But now that Ahsoka has fulfilled her purpose, so the son says, he taps her on the head, which completely takes her life force and kills her. He then goes on to stab his father with the magical weapon, but at the last second, the daughter dives in front of her father and is instead killed. The son, basically in shock at what just happened now, flees the scene, and the father is actually able to use the last of the daughter's life force to revive Ahsoka. Anakin doesn't believe the son will be able to be kept prisoner here any longer, with the balance entirely shifted to the dark side now. So the father tells him to go to the Well of the Dark Side, where Anakin is met directly with the son. Seems like kind of a bad play from the father to send Anakin to the Well of the Dark Side, but I don't know, I guess maybe he thinks he's really going to overcome the son there. I'm actually not really sure what his intentions were entirely here. But the son shows him his future and all of the harm that Anakin will end up doing, and in an attempt to actually stop that future from coming true, Anakin actually sinks into the dark side here and almost takes on his full Vader persona. The son goes to the sister's tomb to retrieve the dagger, which gives the father a chance to meet with Anakin and wipe his knowledge of the future to bring him back to the light. The son arrives, however, and though the father pleads for his son to stop this course of action, the son refuses. And in one desperate attempt to cut off some of the power being siphoned off of him, the father takes the dagger and kills himself. The son is completely shook once again by this, and goes to tend to his father. He's clearly in remorse and kind of thinking about what he just did, but he doesn't have time to think long because Anakin rams a lightsaber into the back of the son, killing him. It's important to note that here the light and dark sides of the Force weren't actually killed, just these avatars of the light and dark side. So I think it's entirely possible that the dark side will be able to manifest a new avatar in the future, as well as perhaps the light side. I think what's up for debate is who would actually take on the role, if anyone, of the father to bring balance between the two now that Anakin's gone. The Mortis Gods were typically responsible for controlling the gate to the world between worlds too, so it's possible that to access this realm, some version of these entities must still exist. Though since time is a little loose and fast in the world between worlds, it's also possible that it's the old avatars just manipulating the world between worlds from the past, but they can also touch the future from there. Even though these characters aren't seen very often, they are just so incredibly important to the lore of Star Wars, and they can just manipulate so many different things in the galaxy, which is really one of the heavy reasons why these gods are brought up in many fan theories. So let me know, do you have any interesting fan theories about the Mortis Gods? Tell me down in the comments. I'm Keegs, and I will catch you all next time for some more Star Wars content.